Good evening and a very warm welcome to this hour's English news package with radio and television Tonga news for tonight. Making headlines, budget estimate for year 2022-2023 was 573.1 million pa'anga. 3 MPs of Parliament took their oaths this morning, and the Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Benny Wong expected to arrive the kingdom tomorrow and will have an audience with His Majesty King Tupou VI. We'll have these and more stories later on in the bulletin. Now for the stories in detail. The Honourable Prime Minister Huakavamei Liku told Parliament this morning that the total amount for the budget estimate for year 2022-2023 is 573.1 million pa'anga. The theme for the new budget is to develop Tonga to withstand the impacts of climate change, natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic. Alice Tupou takes up that story.
The theme for the new budget is to develop Tonga to withstand the impacts of climate change, natural disasters and the COVID-19 pandemic. The budget estimated this year focuses on 9 priorities. This includes the allocation of 77.6 million pa'anga for climate change projects and natural disasters. 46% of the 77.6 million pa'anga is to fund various projects following the volcanic eruption and the tsunami in January this year. Within the budget estimate, 21.4 million pa'anga is to assist those living in poverty and hardship, including the most vulnerable population, such as the elderlies. Another priority is the fight against illicit drugs in Tonga, with 7 million pa'anga from the budget estimate. 118.8 million pa'anga is allocated to assist those who dropped out from school at an early age so they can complete their studies and find jobs to improve their standard of living. And 54.9 million pa'anga aim to help with the health care of the Health Ministry, especially tackling the COVID-19 pandemic and non-communicable diseases, or NCDs. The reconstruction of the Prince Ngul Hospital and building the Gunsa Lotte School of Nursing are also included within the 54.9 million pa'anga. There are other priority areas for the government, which include projects during the recovery period from the COVID-19 pandemic and the devastation in January this year. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Alice Tupou.
The Legislative Assembly of Tonga resumed deliberations this morning, and 3 nobles were sworn in. They took their oath and pledged their alliance to the King and the people of Tonga. They pledged to protect and uphold the Constitution of Tonga and to serve the King and the country. The 3 nobles include Ha'apai No. 2 Noble Representative, who's the Speaker of Parliament, Lord Whawhanua, and Tongatapu No. 2 Noble Representative, Lord Te Wakano, and the newest Noble Representative, His Serene Highness Prince Kalanivalu Fotofili. All members of Parliament were present this morning except for 3 members: Tongatapu No. 1 Noble Representative, Lord Vaya, the Minister of Agriculture, Honourable Viliami Manoa Pangahingano, and the Fisheries Minister, Honourable Semisi Fakahau. The Minister of Agriculture is yet to take his oath, as he has been in New Zealand for medical purposes since January. However, he has to take his call in Parliament on the 13th of July, else he will lose his seat as the People's Representative of Ha'apai 12 constituency. During an interview with the Speaker of Parliament, Lord Whawhanua, last month, he said that the MP has been away for more than 3 months, and his office received a request for an extension of leave for another 3 months, which will be completed on the 13th of July. If by then he is not in Parliament, his seat will be vacant and a by-election will be followed. As Parliament deliberations resumed this morning after postponing 2 times, Lord Speaker of Parliament Lord Whawhanua is concerned for future impacts will faced by the House following 4 MPs convicted in the Supreme Court still having their full privileges of a Member of Parliament after granted a stay judgment. The concern by the Speaker, Lord Whawhanua, follows a warning made by the Supreme Court on impacts that may occur to the operations of the House while these convicted MPs still receive their privileges. However, despite all this, the Speaker says this is a historical time for Tonga and the House, but there has been legal work carried out on the issue and there haven't been many impacts recorded abroad compared to the impacts made by the Supreme Court. Lord Fafanoa also says it is significant for the House to be accountable to the law while awaiting the final decision from the Court of Appeal. Not only that, once the results of these appeals are announced, the House will have to review the loophole in the law in order to make amendments to avoid similar problems in the future. With today's deliberations on the issue, the Speaker reiterated that it is up to the 4 convicted MPs if they want to join the deliberations of the House or not, as the House has no constitutional authority to stop them from doing so, as they still have their constitutional rights. The 4 convicted MPs included the Deputy Prime Minister Honourable Boaz Day, Minister of Internal Affairs Honourable Sione Sengsta Saulala, Finance Minister Honourable Tatafu Tomamoyaki, and Tongatapu 10 People's Representative Dr. Pohiva Tuionetoa. This morning's agenda included the unseating of Tongatapu 10 People's Representative. However, the Lord Speaker received a written document from the Lord Chief Justice which ruled the House to await his unseating as they have granted his request. Meanwhile, Lord Fafanoa wants MPs to understand that the adjournment of the House was not due to the request from the government to withhold the unseating, but it was adjourned because of the budget. However, the House was adjourned from today's evening to be continued on the 8th of June. The Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Penny Wong will arrive at the Fuamotu International Airport tomorrow before she makes her way to the Royal Palace in Nuku'alofa, where she will have an audience with His Majesty King Tupo VI. Alice Tupo with the details.
According to information from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Senator Penny Wong said that the aim of her visit to renew and strengthen Australia's deep friendly ties with Tonga. During her stay, Wong hopes to meet with the Prime Minister, Honourable Hoakava Meliku, and Foreign Affairs Minister, Honourable Fekita Maloa Utoikamanu. Wong said in a statement that Australia played a leading role in the international response to January's volcanic eruption and tsunami in Tonga, and she looks forward to discussing what more they can do to help. This will be her second visit to the Pacific since being sworn in as Foreign Minister 9 days ago. Senator Wong said that she understands that Tonga and Australia need to work together like never before for the people and for generations to come. She added that Australia wants to make a unique contribution to help build a stronger Pacific family through social and economic opportunities, including pandemic recovery, health, development and infrastructure support, as well as through Australia's Pacific labour programs and permanent migration. Not only that, but Australia will increase their contribution to regional security as they understand that the security of the Pacific is the responsibility of the Pacific family, of which they are part of. They also hope to help the Pacific family in addressing the impacts of climate change while also deepening cultural and supporting ties. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Alice Tupo.
Sailors must know the importance of using marine communication radios during their sailor to ensure that passengers are safe from natural disasters. The concern was raised during a televised program yesterday of the Tonga Meteorological and Coastal Radio Services. This division is known as the Nuku'alofa Maritime Radio, and one of their main core function is to ensure that while sailors are at sea, they are safe using marine communication radios. The importance of using maritime communication radios is to have fast access and have accurate information, and their services are available to sailors at all times. Speaking at the program, the Chief of Coastal Radio Services, Sione Tungafasi, says the government hopes that sailors must know the importance of using maritime communication radios while at sea to avoid any tragedy or incidents due to miscommunication and information. While working, we've experienced many incidents and even tragedies. We then work cooperatively with New Zealand's Rescue Coordination Centre and the Double Maritime Radio. That is why New Zealand aircrafts always come to Tonga when tragedies happen. They will investigate what is going on in the area before His Majesty's Armed Forces rescue them. If a vessel is on fire, sinks, collides, or any of the passengers or crew fall to the sea, it is one of the incidents that might cost a life. There are some incidents where we'll still have time to help them, but not urgently, like when there's a technical fault at the engine of the boat. Sione Tongafasi adds, the Radio Tonga always helps out in times of need when hazards or natural disasters happen swiftly, and if the maritime communication radios is not on, they will use the radio to announce urgent messages to reach passengers or crew in that boat, or any resources available as an indicator of their location, so the nearest vessel could reach them for assistance. If there are any incidents at sea, the Coastal Radio Services is working together with the Tonga Police Rescue Team, the Marine and Boats, His Majesty's Armed Forces and related stakeholders. Meanwhile, one of the function of Coastal Radio Services is cleaning oils that leak from a ship or vessel from overseas countries in our waters to ensure that it doesn't affect living species in the ocean for people's daily consumption. And the Ministry of Agriculture is working on farming crafted citrus fruit trees and other traditional plants so that people can eat fruits locally, as they are healthier compared to fruits that are being imported from overseas. Alice Tupo tells you more on that story.
More than 300 different varieties of crafted citrus fruit trees were shipped from Australia, with 6 different citrus fruit trees to be planted in the hopes of to provide a larger variety of crafted seedlings. These crafted seedlings were planted at 3 at the Nishi trading residence at Utulau, including a home at Homa and Hatua Ewa. One of the main purposes of carrying out this project is to encourage people to grow fruit trees locally because local fruits have the healthiest nutrients. They are doing this in part of their cooperation with the Ministry of Health in promoting a healthy lifestyle for our people and to reduce the numbers of people who have non-communicable diseases or NCDs. The CEO for Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Forestry, Dr. William Manu, says that when growing these citrus fruit trees, a lemon plant or Tongan citrus is first planted before it is crafted with the citrus fruit trees from Australia so that it can grow properly. Tongans rely on eating from fruits that are shipped from New Zealand every week, but we can grow it locally for consumption. The ministry also plants traditional fruit trees like soursop because it has more nutrients than the apples imported from New Zealand. Soursop has medicinal purposes as well. The Ministry of Agriculture is looking to import a different type of pawpaw and other fruit trees to grow locally. The government imported more than 3,000 citrus plants and the ministry has planted them, but they need to grow more of its seedlings in block areas in Tongatapu before a few are distributed to Ewa and the outer islands. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Alice Tupo.
And that wraps up this evening's English news package, but before we part, here's one final look at today's top stories. Budget estimate for year 2022-2023 worth 573.1 million pa'anga. 3 MPs of Parliament took their oaths this morning, and the Australian Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Benny Wong expected to arrive in the Kingdom tomorrow and will have an audience with His Majesty King Tupo VI. That completes tonight's English news package. Thank you for your company. I'm bye for now to Paula. Have a pleasant evening.